You hear me?
I can hear you. So let
Yes.
me introduce Danny Guerrido. He's a CSP in the LA division out of Pasadena. He started in December of 1998, so he's been selling Cutco for 28 years. Biggest push period, 80,500 on 95 orders. He's earned 23 company trips. He has the Rolex. He's at 6 million in personal sales, Hall of Fame member, and the number 29 sales rep of all time. A couple personal details. He has a bachelor's in kinesiology. Let me try to say that 5 times fast. From Cal State Northridge. And he's ma been married for 25 years to Michelle. He's a proud father of two, Daniel, who's 23, and Mia, who's 20. He loves to travel, fun experiences, hang out with family and friends, and he loves sports like basketball, MMA, but football is his favorite. Yeah, and so he's going to be talking to us today about engaging customers with quality questions. So go ahead and take it away, Danny.
Awesome. Thank you, Denise, for that amazing intro. I do also want to echo a little bit about what Dante said earlier. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to you guys and allowing me the opportunity to come out this summer. Same with him, it helps me hit certain goals. But I'm excited about being out there. And honestly, I'm excited about learning from a lot of you guys, what you guys do up in NorCal. And my hope is to bring a little bit of what we do here in the LA division to you guys. So again, thank you so much. Welcome me with open arms. Appreciate you guys so much. So yeah, what I'm going to talk about today is things that really have helped or impacted me, and it's the topic is like questions to really engage. And before I get into what I would say the meat and potatoes, some of these things may not be new to most of you guys. Some of these questions maybe you've heard before, or maybe you do them already. And hey, you know what? That's great. But in my opinion, it's still worth reviewing. Okay. And so, like I stated earlier, I'm going to just kind of go over things that have really some moments, aha moments for me, some impactful moments, and really things that have, helped me out. Obviously, it's being recorded. My thing for you guys is you can take notes if you want, but I think just to listen. And then one thing that I do is I go back and listen to the audio and take my notes. That's just what I do. And I'll talk about more of my study habits later if you have questions. So let me just jump into it. So the first thing that I want to share with you guys is with past customers. And that's when, they come up to the booth or they're passing by. I would always, struggle with what to say, right? And so I would say like, "Hey, do you have Cutco?" And they would go, "Yes." And I go, "Oh, you do?" And they keep on walking, right? And so, or then I would say like, "Oh, hey, hey," and they're like 5 feet past the booth, like, "How long have you had them?" And then they would say, "A really long time," or they would say, "Years," and they keep on walking. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, right? And so here's the thing, even with those types of questions, you know what? They might stop, but in my experience, they didn't stop, right? But I can say now that I've made a change. This has really allowed me for more interactions for just a few more minutes that has led to some results, right? They may not always buy, but I'm going to teach you like how to get them right in front of the booth. And this has been a game changer for me. So there's 3 questions that I ask. The first question is, are you familiar with the brand? They say yes. And then this is my favorite question. I say it slowly and I say, what's been your favorite part about owning Cutco? And I say it slow. And it's interesting because I started doing this like, last fall, and it's like a game changer because they have to answer, right? And it's such a simple, open-ended question, right, guys? But it really extracts value. That's my point. And instead of you telling them how great Cutco is, they tell you how great it is and why they feel it's great, which builds more conviction for the rest of the conversation, right? Now, once they do all that talking, I'm sitting there and I'm smiling and I'm nodding my head, yeah, 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 right? The next question is key. And this is something that's really important. And then I say, what pieces do you already own? Now, I know you've heard this question, but I need to explain this. Again, it's such a simple question, but let me explain why. And I laugh because I'm guilty of this. The biggest mistake I made is when a past customer walks up and they say, "Oh, we have Cutco," and I'm like, "That's awesome." And then I say, "Do you have this one?" And they go, "Yes." I go, "Do you have this one?" And they say, "Yes." "Do you have this one?" They go, "Yes." Cool. So now what do they think? They have everything. And then they walk off. And I was like, "Damn." Right? So, how you can avoid that whole situation is, oh, you have Cutco? That's awesome, right? What's been your favorite part about owning Cutco? They tell you, what do you have? Let them talk. But generally, what I do is I go right to left and I just point at a knife. And then I say, yes or no. Yes, got it. Yes or no. Yes, got it. No, okay. Yes, and so on and so forth, right? And then the next piece I show them, I know with 100% they don't have it, right? And this has been a game changer. And here's why. If I know they don't have it, well, now I can begin to build packages. I can build, like a five piece, or potentially even do like an upgrade. All right. So that was the first thing I wanted to share with you guys. Another great engaging question is this one. And this comes along with obviously people at the booth, and it's simple, but it's powerful. And it's, have you seen what Cutco owners are adding to their collection? Right? And this is a great question for past customers because guess what it does? It creates curiosity. Have you seen the newest thing that Cutco owners have been adding to their collection, right? And it's always like, oh, what's new, right? Because they think they have what? Everything. And then whatever, right? It's funny when I do this, sometimes they don't have the cheese knife. I just go, oh, the cheese knife. And even though we all know it's not new, it's new to them, right? Or maybe it's the Hardy, the gourmet prep knife. Primarily for me, I just show them the 4 inch and the 6 inch, vegetable knife because that's new, right? But then they're like, ooh, ah. My point is they're at the table and I've engaged them in a conversation. A great discovery question to ask is this one. Hey, okay, I'm just curious if I found you a set that came with the pieces you would use at a price point that fit in the budget, is that something you'd be open to? I'll say that again. I'm just curious if I found you a set that came with the pieces you would use at a price point that fit in the budget, is that something you would be open to? All right. Something that I learned from Brandon, a year ago, and I'm like, oh my God. And that's helped me. I'm sharing with you guys. Now, here's one thing I will say. Don't ask every person this question, right? Don't get trigger happy. I used to ask this question myself a lot. And the question was, hey, are you in the market for good knives? If you really think about it, how are they in the market for good knives? And you haven't even done anything to give them a reason to be in the market for good knives. Okay. And so what I mean by that is, so don't qualify so hard that you don't even give them a chance to consider. Do a cutting demo with the leather, right? Tell them the average price per knife. Give them enough reference points about the warranty before you ask that question. Because when you do that, then they can give you a more educated answer, right? And those are things I've learned there. Another engaging question to ask, and I found this to be interesting, but it's helped me out, is would you like a card? Which I know for us is like, right? But I've learned to embrace it. Okay. And here's an example. Okay. I think I would say we've all had those scenarios where a customer walks up to the booth, they ask you, how much is that set? Let's say they point to the homemaker, and you say, oh, it's 2,000 bucks. And they say, oh, okay, thanks. And then you say, are you familiar with Cutco? And then they reply, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're thinking about it, but not now. And they start walking away. Right? Has anyone had that? And you're like, ah, right? So what do you do? So what I do now in that scenario, I go, hey, would you like a card? And they go, actually, that'd be great. And now they walk back to the booth. And as I'm handing them my card, I go, by the way, do you have friends or family that own Cutco? And then we can start building a rapport, building a connection. Sometimes as simple as, hey, do you want a card really helps, right? And so, what's interesting is when I do this, it's like, oh, I'm giving up, you win, here's my card, but it shifts their body language from 5 feet away to right in front of me. And now I can capture them, and maybe it's just 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds, whatever. And here's the thing, guys, maybe you win, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But my point is I'm trying to engage and I'm trying to create another opportunity. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So, another tip for you that I've been really working on is when you're doing like you say you have a new customer, you're doing a new customer close. Let's say you show them all three sets, right? Homemaker, Siggy, Ulti. The question is, hey, which set would you get the most out of, right? And they say, oh, the basic set, right? So they pick their set. Your follow-up question, this is huge. Your follow-up question should be this. Great choice. By the way, outside of the basic set, is there any other knives you wish came in that set? Right? And I know it's funny for me. I've heard this so many times, and I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm gonna implement it, and I have it. Right? And so, but now when I heard it again, I was like, you know what? I need to really implement this. And so here's why. Because psychologically, why do you ask that question? Because, I wanted to know what else they're interested in. So if I needed to do a turbo deal, I already knew. And that's when it hit me. And it feels way more natural and has way more flow. So they might go, oh, you know what? Probably the cleaver. Or they might go, oh, maybe the scissors. Or they might go, oh, maybe the cheese knife or whatever. I just go, great. I just bookmarked that, got it in my head. And a scenario just happened, which was really interesting, is I had a customer that wanted the ultimate set with steak knives, right? And they said to me, like they wanted to walk around and think about it. And I already had asked them the question, what was, not in the set that they wanted. Now it's an ultimate, right? And the husband was like, oh, dude, that lockback is cool. He happened to be a fireman. And then the wife's like, oh, our can opener sucks. And I'm like, okay. And I just bookmarked that. And then I asked for the order. And then they said, hey, I want to walk around and think about it. Now, old Danny would have been like, shit, damn it. I hate it. Right. And I'm like, I'm ready to go to war. And I don't do that anymore. I nod my head and I count to three. It's kind of like I'm breathing. And I go, yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. I'm just wondering, what are your general thoughts so far? And the wife said, we love the set. We actually like the fact that the cleaver's in there. And she looked at her husband. He's like, for sure. I could use, he's a fireman, so I can, he barbecues. He's like, yeah, that'd be great. I said, okay. And I said, if you did do it, could you budget, I don't know what it is, 800 bucks a month, whatever. Can you budget the $800 a month, or would that break the bank? And the wife said, no, we can do it. I said, okay. Here's what I'm going to do for you since you're here right now. And that way you don't have to come back. Okay. I would really love to earn your business today. And if you get it right now, I'm going to go ahead and I looked at his name is John. I go, John, I'm going to buy you the lockback knife and you definitely can use that at work. And then her name was Shar. I say, hey, Shar, and for you, I'm going to hook you up and buy you the can opener. What do you say? And they said yes. Okay, now does that happen every time? No, but in that scenario, it did. Okay, so that's why I asked that question, and it's really helped me out a lot. The last question that I want to share with you, I would say, again, something I've learned and really working on, and you can use it with like the family program or like an upserving. And I think most of you have heard this before, but it really hit home for me, the last 12 months, and I've been really working on it. And that is, hey, Miss Jones, you know, and I love this. Have you ever owned anything that was given to you as a gift that you've owned for at least 10 years and use every day? It's a great question to ask because the chances are the answer is no, right? Which is a great transition into let me tell you why Cutco is the best gift, even if you've never thought about giving it as a gift. And at best, I say that to them, right? And so, an example I want to share with you that recently happened, I had a customer came to the booth and they were thinking about getting their son a wedding gift. I asked, well, how old is the son? And, they said he's 25. Now, if you think about that, you know, they're automatically thinking, oh, he's too young, right? That's what I was thinking. I didn't say that, but people have that. And I said, okay, cool. And I went through the three sets and they were like, definitely not the ultimate or family set. And the wife's like, we have the homemaker set, right? And I said, okay. She goes, so if anything, we would get him the homemaker set. I said, great. And I showed him the prices and the husband and wife were like, oh, it's too much money, right? And they're about to walk away. And so basically I said, hey, would it be okay if I showed you a different option? Simple question. And they were like, well, what do you mean? And I go, cool. And I dropped down to the galley plus six. Oh, no, excuse me. I said, I have another suggestion for you. That's what I said. I have another suggestion for you. Can I show you that? I dropped down to the galley plus six. And in my book, I had a galley plus six and a companion set right next to each other. Right. And the husband's like, what's this? And I explain it to him, right? Cheese knife, scissors, Santugo knife, that kind of thing. He's like, oh, cool. And the wife's like, ooh, I like that combo. And so that way I felt really good about this. And I was like, okay, great. And then I just looked at the mom because she was the one that kind of controlled everything. And I said this, I go, hey, and by the way, I showed him the price. The breakdown was like 254 or something like that a month or whatever. And I said, imagine how it's going to feel to give your son a knife set that he's going to use every single day for the rest of his life. And she was like, she looked at her husband, she smiled, and she goes, you're right. Okay, we'll take it. And she pulled out the card, right? And so that was really cool. Now, here's what I would say. I am not a master of this. I'm still working on it. Okay. These questions are definitely going to help, guide your way to a conversation with the customer. But here's what I would say. It takes a lot of practice, right? And here's the thing. What I'm still trying to discover is knowing what questions to ask at the right time is really super, super hard. Okay. I still struggle with it, right? But I can tell you the more I do it, the better I get. Even if you had all these questions memorized, which kind of do, it's really knowing when to input them is a whole thing. And so again, my thing here is practice. And so I'll leave you with this as I wrap up here. I've been here a long, long time. A lot of you in here, have been here a long time, DP and Jeremy and all that, and some of the old school cats and some of you new guys. But it's like the question is like, how much time are you taking to really prepare? And I think Dante hit on this, right? And I've been here a long time and I'm like, damn, Danny, you think you would know this stuff by now. I don't. And I really have to take time. And it's not just being about on the Zoom call, it's about after the Zoom call, going back to the recording. It's after the Zoom call. Yes, I've listened to the recording on my drive. For me, that's okay, but it's not the best. I have to sit here and really almost type out the whole recording and then read it and then study it. For me, that's how it works. And then I feel more comfortable and prepared to go do this. And that's my challenge to you. What are you doing when no one's watching to really prepare yourself? Right. And so, this first weekend, I led the team. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that I put in the time, right? Yes, I beat the Brandon Brown barely, you know, but it's things that I've learned, right? And so that's pretty cool. So if you run into challenges around this, guys, I would say number one, just be really curious. You know, if you can be curious first and have the questions memorized, it's really going to help you pull out the right question at the right time. The second thing I would say is listen, you know, with the intent to understand where they're at in the present moment, right? And what question is needed to move them forward into the process while still serving them, you know, at the highest level. Okay. So that's what I got. And then the last thing, if it's okay if I share, Denise, is I wanted to role play, if that's okay, my approach at the booth. Is that cool? You guys down with that? Cool. So this is something I've been working on, and I've learned different things. Thanks, Kayla. From different people. And I'm not saying you need to revamp your whole approach. What I've done is just taken things that like, ooh, I like that sentence, I like that line. But what I'm going to talk about right now is cadence, right? And what I mean by cadence, you know, most of you guys know I love football, and like there's certain scenarios where like, you go hut, right? Like you're trying to like you speed up or you slow down, right? That's called cadence, right? Or like a pace. And so I'm gonna tell you the biggest thing that's really also helped me out is slowing down in my presentation. And why is because I've said it 1,000 times, and in my brain, it's just let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And you have to understand that that person's first interaction and first exposure to Cutco. And so I challenge you to tell yourself in your head when you're talking with that customer, say the word slow down. And you will have a whole new understanding and kind of like a whole new world, if you will. So here's my presentation or my pitch. Customer walks by the booth or I get them to the booth. I just say, hey, are you familiar with Cutco? No? Okay, you got to check this out. Now, let me pause for a second here. Some people do a junk knife, some people don't. I haven't found any differences. I've done them both. Okay, so pick what you want. So I'm going to hand them a junk knife. And then I say, this is not a Cutco knife. And I pause. This is a typical knife you can get at a store like Target, Macy's, or Costco. Really important to say that. Okay. Now, this is a piece of leather. I know your meat isn't going to be this hard to cut, and I laugh, but go ahead and saw back and forth. And I literally do this, saw back and forth. I need you to start at the tip and use a full long stroke. And I literally do this right in front of them. Okay. And then I go, okay, go. And basically they're going, right? And they cut it. And I go, so it works, but can you see how it rips and tears? Sorry. Cool. It's live. Okay. Sorry. My wife just got excited about something, so I'll tell you later. Anyway, so now, so okay, then I hand him the Cutco knife and I go, now use Cutco. And I hand him a steak knife. And then I smile and I look at them and they stare at me. And again, I'm counting in my head one, two, three. And I go, hey, by the way, and I slow the appointment down. How does that feel in your hand? And then they're like, oh, it feels good. It feels comfortable. It's balanced. It's light, whatever they say. I go, right? Cool. Okay. Now, do the exact same thing. Start at the tip and cut. Use a full long stroke and make sure you use the same pressure, right? And then they cut it like obviously in one swipe. And I go, isn't that amazing? And I shut up. And I'm literally in my head, one, two, three, four, five. I'm not kidding. And I'm just sitting there nodding my head and smiling. What I've learned in those 5 seconds is they've now realized, OMG, this is an amazing product. Or they say something, which is what I want. Like, this is cool. This is amazing, or how much is it? Whatever. I just want a reaction. Okay. So that's really key there. And then I go, great question, or yes, or whatever. I go, so as impressive as that is, Randy, what's most impressive, it'll stay sharp like that 7 to 10 years. And again, guys, I say it that slow. I used to say it really fast. Yeah, what's cool, it's going to stay sharp 7 to 10 years, like that fast. No, I say it really, really slow. And I pause. And then I go, and then when you need it serviced and sharpened, you can actually send it back to the factory and they'll sharpen it for free. Now, obviously, with that kind of quality and that kind of warranty, it's not going to be cheap. I'm going to rip off the Band-Aid right now and let you know the average cost of one knife is about $150. And then I just shut up and I count for 3 seconds. And then I go, so you can obviously imagine what a set like this cost. And I'm touching the ultimate set. And they look at it and their eyes get really big. And I want that. I want them like that. I go, this has 30 pieces. By the way, I just round, I don't say 32. It's hard to do math. So I just go, this has 30 pieces. And this set is about 4,500 bucks. Right. And I don't, their reaction, oh my God, or okay, it doesn't really matter to me. They have to be educated, right? If they go, oh my God, I go, huh? And then some people will go, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, even better, right? I go, and then I say this now, by the way, you can buy pieces individually if you want, but it's way more expensive. So most people avoid that and they kind of just gravitate to one of our sets. So then I go, now, hey, Kayla, you know, we have been known for our knives for years, as you can see. But as you can also see, we're more of a kitchen company. Okay. We have high quality flatware, and I literally put my hands over the flatware. And I point to the end, and we have quality premium cookware. And I point to the cookware. And then I go, so a lot of people like to hit the reset button and replace it with high quality products, all American made, all guaranteed. For you, would you be more looking at a set of knives or one of our package deals that comes with flatware and cookware? And I would say like 90% of the time they say knives. And then I've had some people like, oh, tell me about the cookware. Oh, tell me about the flatware, whatever, right? But they're engaged, and we're off and running. So let's say they say, we want knives, which is what generally happens. Then my next part's pretty simple. I go, great. I go, so let me show you our three most popular sets. And this is how I do it because I want to speed up the process. I go, this is our basic set. And this is for people who are minimalist and don't cook a whole lot. And the reason I say that right there, guys, is I'm trying to handle objections ahead of time, right? Because, oh, we don't cook a whole lot. That's too many pieces. So I'm trying to hedge against it, right? And so you get 8 knives and I point 2 forks and then a set of steak knives. And this is on my display board. Then I point to the picture in front of them. And then I point to my Homemaker +8 that's actually on the table so they have a visual. So they have a visual of all the pieces, they have a visual of what the picture looks like, and then they see it right on the table. And then they go, okay. I go, the next one, this is our family set, very popular. And the reason it's so popular is actually you get our 4 most customer requested pieces. Let me show you. And then I do a quick names and uses on the Hardy slicer, the cheese knife, the Petite Santoku, and the scissors, right? I just and I go through that. And then you get the bigger steak knives like the one you cut with. And then they're like, oh. I go, and then last but not least is our complete set. Now, I pause. This is a set that everybody wants, and I smile, but not everybody gets. But if you like to barbecue, smoke, and grill, which is most people on the West Coast, or you like to entertain, this is our number one set. And then I just quickly go with the cleaver, fillet knife. I just run over those real quickly. And then I go, so this is the set everybody wants. I say that again, but not necessarily the set everybody gets. But here's what I can tell you is if you can fit it in the budget and you would use all the pieces, it's really the best value. But for you, considering you would never have to buy knives again between the basic, the family, and the complete, what would be your dream set? And that's it. And that's my pitch. And this is what I have to share. And that's had a big, big impact on me, starting last year and going to this LA fair and so far this year. So that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully, you guys got some good nuggets out of there. I'm not sure. I think my time is up. Yep, 30 minutes right on the dot. I don't know if we have time for Q&A.
We
Is it?
have 4 minutes. So I just want to comment first because I love how you actually get them engaged with the leather in the first 30 seconds. I think a lot of us have been doing this for so long that we tend to gear ourselves towards, oh, let me give you all the bullet points, right? But you haven't even like gotten them excited about it yet. It's like, I love how you're just like, hey, let me show you something really quick, right? And it's like getting them to try it and then the way that you describe how to do the cutting, where you're just gearing them towards how doing it properly, right? Because I think we tend to forget because we do it so many times that, hey, this is the first time the customer's, experiencing Cutco. And so like having that wow factor, when you have them cut the leather, like if you don't get a F-bomb in there somewhere, maybe you're not doing it right.
Yeah, totally decent. Now, here's what I would say to that point too, is back in the day when I get to customer, like I would do like all these bullet points like you stated, and it was super boring for me and them, right? It was like,
Mhm.
oh, cool. So let me tell you about Cutco. Everything on the table is 100% American made. The company is in Olean, New York. We're the number one company, Consumer Digest, Best Buy. Oh, we okay, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I don't want to curse, but it's like, ugh. And you see the energy go, "Mm," right? And it's like, and then I'm like, why is that happening? I'm giving you all this great context. No, they don't care. Cut the damn.
Does it cut? They want to know, does it
That's
cut?
it. That's it. So, like, oh, cool. You got to check this out. And they're like, okay. And then you just go, and it's been a game changer. By the way, they could look behind you. It's American made. There's a banner back there. They could look behind you. It says, 1949. Like,
Yeah. Well,
not
and all
wrong.
those statements are so much more impactful after they tried it, right? Now their ears are open.
Yeah, so someone's asked me, well, how long has it been? I point to the banner. Oh, it's been around since 1949. If they want to know, they'll ask you. So over 70, 5+ years. Oh, where's it made? I point to, oh, right there, American made. Like I just point. Like I don't need
Yeah.
to say it. Like they just don't care. They just like you said, does it work? And that's the wow factor. And that's been like the biggest revelation for me. And then slowing down. Like
Yes, that one's huge.
that is
That was one of the big things I got out of your message just now, too. I do want to open up. We have 1 minute. Anybody have a quick question for Danny?
Hey Danny, how good did it feel to beat Brandon for the weekend?
Um, well, I have to give Brandon a lot of credit because I've learned a lot from him. He's always very gracious. And I said, "Hey man, thanks for the bone." And he's like, "What?" And then he finally gets it. Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. I think what's really cool for me is to see Brandon being proud of the fact that I've learned and I've implemented the things that he's been teaching. And so yeah, I felt good, obviously. And I'm gonna keep trying to, beat him. But at the end of the day, it's about me and my interaction with these people and just literally the questions at him that I'm really asking. And it feels good. And it feels good that he's willing to share that information with me. So yeah, it felt good, but I still got my work cut out for me. I can tell you that he's not going to lay down and just be like, haha. I beat him for the booth. He beat me for the week though. He has some
Mhm.
other orders. But anyway, yeah, it felt good. Any other questions for you guys? Good.
I think so. Thank you so much, Danny. We appreciate your time. And that was great. Those questions, I feel like they're super valuable. We'll be definitely putting these messages on our team website if people want to go back and take some notes and re-listen.